notice how the government sneaks in the worst idea, like a teenager sneaking in beer in the house? And the latest one snuck in is the State Department's Global Engagement Center, or the GEC. That's right. Buried on page 139 of a 1,537-page spending bill, because nothing says honesty like hiding things in a novel no one has time to read. Now, what's the GEC supposed to do? Fight foreign disinformation. Sounds good, right? Like a superhero who escapes as truth. Except this hero has been moonlighting as a censor. They're funding groups like NewsGuard and the Global Disinformation Index, whose mission is apparently to make sure you never hear a conservative opinion again. Because nothing screams freedom like government-funded speech suppression. Well, that's a tongue twister. Imagine if George Orwell had a sequel to 1984 called 2024. It's happening, people. And instead of Big Brother, we've got Big Algorithm deciding what's misinformation and what's safe. And let me tell you, the GEC doesn't seem too worried about foreign threats. It's got its sights set on domestic ones, like Breitbart and The Federalist, and anyone who doesn't think every Netflix series is brave and groundbreaking. Here's the thing. I don't care if you love or hate Breitbart. Free speech is not about protecting the speech you like. It's about protecting the speech you don't. And these groups aren't just saying, we don't agree with Breitbart. They're saying, let's make sure Breitbart never gets ad revenue again. That's not debate. That's cancel culture with a government paycheck. And they're doing it with your money. Taxpayer dollars funded censorship. I don't know about you. When I pay taxes, I want potholes filled, not the First Amendment emptied. Now, the GEC was created to counter foreign propaganda. Like the supposed Russian troll farms that posted a couple memes about Hillary's emails. But instead of focusing on that, they're coming after American media outlets. It's like hiring a bouncer to keep the bar safe and finding out he's kicking out anyone who orders a beer. Let's talk about timing. They snuck this extension into a massive spending bill just hours before the vote. How is that democratic? Congress isn't reading these bills. They're speed reading summaries written by lobbyists. It's like binge watching a show and skipping all the episodes in the middle. You totally miss the plot, but you're just pretending to know what's going on. Here's the kicker. The same people who back this kind of censorship call themselves defenders of democracy. Democracy doesn't mean everyone has to agree. It means everyone gets a say. And I hate to break it to the GEC, but censoring speech isn't democracy. So, where do we go from here? First, we got to stop pretending that censorship is noble just because it's wrapped in a government logo. If you can't argue your point without silencing the other side, maybe your argument sucks. Second, we got to hold the government accountable. They want to spend our money. The least they can do is spend it on something we actually agree on. But most importantly, we got to protect free speech for everyone, not just the people we like. Because when the government controls the conversation, it's not freedom anymore. It's propaganda with better branding. And if you think that's an exaggeration, remember, the GEC just got a fresh $61 million budget, and they didn't even have to say please. That's not government oversight. That's a blank check with, trust me, written in the memo line. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffey Nuance Show, most ignored, censored commentary news show, live right now. Flame on. Well, welcome. Glad you're here today, this December 18th. What's up to the half a dozen people that are watching me? I appreciate you. Who knows? But we're on X, we're on Rumble, we're on YouTube. Currently, we have 325 followers on Rumble. Look, for the meme, we want 420. So if you happen to stumble upon this video on Rumble, please follow. That'd be great. But yeah, let's talk about the big thing today. This continuing resolution that was put in, and they're just extending the budget of the Global Engagement Center. Now, the Global Engagement Center, U.S. State Department agency that pretty much goes after anybody that criticizes anything that the U.S. State Department wants to do. I mean, that's if you need a simplification, if you need an explainer of what they do, that's what they do. But anyway, they fund organizations that suppress conservative media, but not regular conservative media. Conservative media that has an issue with what the State Department is doing. That's pretty much it. Anyway, it engages in domestic censorship. That's the big thing. Now, initially, when they started this thing, they did it under the guise of we're going to fight foreign disinformation, but the GEC, they didn't stick with that, right? They figured, well, the foreign stuff's no big deal. Who cares? Let's go after anybody within the U.S. that's saying things that we don't care for. And so they've supported groups like the Global Disinformation Index and NewsGuard, which pressure advertisers to blacklist often right-of-center media outlets. And that's what they do. Now, this is a one-year extension. Is included in this 1,500-plus one-page government funding bill. This is supposed to be an emergency funding, right? And they're like, we need emergency funds so that we can censor opinions that go against what we want. That's what it is. Anyway, the GEC has a staff of 125. They got a $61 million budget. And anyway, in my opinion, they violate constitutional principles and they finance domestic censorship efforts. That's what they do. And we're funding it. Yes, please fund this. This is what we need. It's incredible. A 2023 report from the House Small Business Committee highlighted concerns about their activities, including funding initiatives targeting small businesses in the U.S. rather than the foreign threats, which is what supposedly they're supposed to be doing. And these actions undermine free speech, create an environment where dissenting political voices, I don't know why this keeps going out, are suppressed under the guise of combating misinformation. Now, you may wonder, it'd be interesting to find out if I'm anywhere in there, or if I just suck and nobody wants to watch this. I guess both are both are plausible, I believe, right? But anyway, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, he led negotiations in the funding bill, and he didn't see a problem by throwing this in there. Let's censor often people on the right, the guy who's leading the Speaker of the House, which is supposed to represent the people on the right. But again, it's not censoring conservative opinions. It's censoring non-State Department approved opinions. That's the big thing. So anyway, should we be spending emergency money that's supposed to go to, disaster relief, things like that, just to keep things going? Well, they've got an emergency. There's opinions that the State Department doesn't like, so let's be sure to get some emergency money so we can keep censoring it. That's what's going on now. In the broader context of this, there's a lot of pork that was thrown into this 1,500-page bill. Obviously, I haven't read it, but I did download it and drop it into. I had some different AI go through and read it. It's funny, they were a bit, they wouldn't look at it the way I did. I said, "Oh, find anything controversial," and they're like, "Well, anything's controversial." Right? So, well, what's the pork? Well, pork is a, um, it could be an opinion, what some people might consider pork. Anyway, we got a list of all kinds of things that they're funding, but the one that jumped out to me, was this funding of the Global Engagement Center. What a misnomer that is, right? It's the state-sponsored censorship center, is what I think would be more accurate. But there were other things in it, like giving themselves a raise, increasing their health benefits. Taking over, I guess, buying the football stadium in Washington, D.C. I don't know why that's an emergency. Why is that an emergency? And why is it an emergency to make sure that the censorship of Americans is fully funded? I don't know. Not a fan, and I can't wait for some other people to be in charge. January can't come soon enough. Because, in my opinion, the Global Engagement Center should be closed. It should be closed. We should not be funding censorship of Americans for having American opinions that differ from the State Department. Again, because if you can't win an argument, maybe your argument sucks. Yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'll go through all your comments. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I'll see you in the after show. And I'll be back on Friday. Hope all is well. Peace. Well, for whatever reason, I can't put the comments on the screen today, but I still haven't figured that out. I keep trying. It should work. Just doesn't. What's up, Box? What's up, Natasha? Natasha says Trump made some announcements about what he was going to do to promote free speech and punish those who've been hampering it for years. Well, what he should do is tell everyone to not pass this budget and to close the GEC today. That's my take. I don't think this should be passed. I'm just saying, on general principle, this should not be passed. You can't throw in a raise for yourself, continued censorship, and just call it an emergency. No. And in fact, I'm against anyone that votes for this. And if that's everybody, then I'm against everybody. Right? That's just what it is. Ox says, hopefully this budget item for censorship can be thrown out with the upcoming changes. Well, what they're going to do is they're going to pre-fund it, right? So even if their budget gets cut, hey, they still got funding for the year. Natasha says the YouTube channel Mr. Reagan covered what Trump said in that announcement recently. Okay. What does GEC stand for again? It is the Global Engagement Center. It's a U.S. State Department agency. And basically, they go after anyone that disagrees with the U.S. State Department. So that's their big thing. Natasha says, I was listening to some Oingo Boingo today. They have a song that mentions 1984. I don't recognize which song it was, but the title Yeah, Oingo Boingo. That's a blast from the past there. But there was a lot of talk of 1984 back in 1984 when that happened. But there should be a lot more talk about 1984 right now because we're living in it. We're living in Orwell's future was real, and we're in it. And the example is that we call this a global engagement center when it is actually a domestic censorship agency. It's a very Orwellian name, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you all are having an awesome one. I'll see you on Friday. Till then, peace.